Amina was 20 when everything in her life felt like it was shifting beneath her feet. Her mother had remarried just 2 years after her father died, and although Amina tried to accept it, she never fully settled into the new family arrangement. Her stepfather, Tund, wasn't harsh. In fact, he was the opposite. He noticed things, small things, like when she came home tired, when she was struggling with school, or when she hadn't eaten. He praised her dreams, encouraged her work, and listened when she spoke. Things she wished her mother noticed more. And slowly, dangerously, Amina began to confuse attention with affection, and kindness with love. It wasn't sudden. It was a slow drift. She found herself thinking about him too often, wondering why he seemed to understand her better than anyone, why his presence felt comforting, why her heart beat too fast when he asked, "Are you okay?" She felt ashamed of the thoughts. She prayed about them. She tried to avoid him. But feelings don't dissolve simply because they are wrong. One evening, after her mother traveled for a work seminar, Amina found herself alone in the living room with Tund. They talked about school, her future, her fears. He gave her advice the way a father figure should, but Amina's confused heart twisted the meaning. At one point, he said gently, "You are special, Amina. You deserve so much more than you realize." Her heart trembled. Her eyes burned. For a moment, she believed the universe was giving her a sign. But then, Tund stood up, took a step back, and said, "Amina, you're like a daughter to me. Whatever you're feeling right now, it's not your fault. But these feelings aren't love. They're coming from pain you haven't healed." Amina froze. Embarrassment washed over her. He wasn't angry. He wasn't mocking her. He was simply drawing a boundary she didn't know she needed. Her eyes filled with tears, not from rejection but from relief. Someone finally saw the confusion she had been drowning in. That night, Amina cried in her room, realizing how loneliness, grief, and unspoken needs had twisted her emotions. She wasn't in love with him. She was longing for safety, for validation, for the father she lost. And she finally understood the difference. Over the next months, Amina started therapy at school. She worked on rebuilding her relationship with her mother. She learned to see Tund the way he wanted to be seen, as a supportive parental figure, nothing more. And she grew. And healed. And learned her own worth. By the time she turned 21, Amina could look back at that confused chapter of her life and say, "It wasn't love. It was pain wearing a mask." The morning after her breakdown, Amina moved through the house like she was stepping through fog. Every corner reminded her of the moment she wished she could erase, not because Tund embarrassed her, but because she finally saw the cracks inside herself. Her mother returned that evening, cheerful and tired from the trip. "Amina, my baby! Come and hug me," she said. Amina hugged her tightly, tighter than she intended, holding on like someone clutching a lifeline. Her mother pulled back and frowned gently. "You okay? You're holding me like somebody chased you." Amina forced a laugh. "I'm fine, Mum." But she wasn't. Not yet. The unspoken distance. Over the next few days, Amina avoided long conversations with Tund. She stuck to her room, buried herself in schoolwork, and tried to outrun her thoughts. But emotional wounds don't heal by hiding, they simply deepen in silence. Tund kept his distance too. He didn't act weird or guilty. He only acted respectful, careful, almost gentle with space. One morning, Amina found a small note slipped under her door. "I'm here if you ever want to talk, not as anything else, but as someone who cares. Your healing matters. Tund." She read it twice, then folded it neatly, unsure whether to feel relieved or ashamed. Her emotions were a storm with no name. The trigger. The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. A lecturer asked Amina's class to write a reflective essay titled, "The Person You Miss the Most." The words hit her like a stone. That night she sat at her desk, pen shaking in her hand. But when she pressed it to paper, only one sentence came out. "I never got to say goodbye to my father." She stared at the words as tears slipped silently down her cheeks. This was the root. This was the hole she had been trying to fill. Not love for Tund. Not attraction. Not romance. Just grief. Unprocessed, heavy, deep grief. And once she saw it, she couldn't unsee it. Opening old wounds. Amina walked into the living room late that night. Tund was reading on the couch, glasses slipping a bit down his nose. He looked up, surprised. You need something? Amina took a shaky breath. I want to talk. He closed the book immediately. Sit. She sat across from him, back straight, eyes wet. I wasn't in love with you, she said quietly. I know. His voice was calm. Steady. It was because I miss my dad. I didn't realize it until today. Her voice cracked. I was looking for him in you. And that confused everything. Tund nodded slowly. That makes sense. Losing a parent leaves spaces we don't know how to fill. Amina wiped her cheek. It was never about you. And that, he said gently, is exactly why you don't need to carry shame. You're healing from grief, Amina. It's messy. It's confusing. But it's not your fault. She stared at him, really stared, and for the first time, she saw him clearly. Not as a replacement. Not as someone to cling to. Just a person who cared. And suddenly, the heaviness inside her loosened. A step toward healing. Before leaving the room, Tund said, Amina, talk to your mother too. She's been grieving in her own way. Maybe you both need each other more than you realize. Amina nodded. For the first time in months, she felt a soft, steady warmth in her chest, the beginning of healing, not confusion. She whispered, Thank you. And as she returned to her room, she didn't feel ashamed anymore. She felt human. Broken, yes. But finally learning how to mend. Amina woke up the next morning with a different kind of heaviness. Not confusion, not guilt, but relief. She had finally named the ache inside her, and naming it made it less powerful. But one thing remained unfinished. Her mother. They hadn't truly talked in months. Not about grief, not about life, not about the things that mattered. The house looked full, but the silence between them had been empty for far too long. Amina knew Tund was right. Healing alone was hard. Healing with someone who loved her could be life-changing. A conversation long overdue. Amina found her mother in the kitchen that evening, cutting vegetables for dinner. The smell of tomatoes and pepper filled the room, warm, familiar, grounding. Mom? Amina said softly. Her mother paused and studied her face. You're quiet. Are you sure you're okay? Amina's throat tightened. Mom, can we talk? Really talk? Her mother wiped her hands on a cloth and nodded. Of course. They sat at the small dining table, the one Amina used to do homework on as a child. The same table her father once kidded her about messy handwriting. The memories hit her like a wave. I miss Dad, Amina whispered, voice trembling. More than I know how to say. Her mother's eyes softened with a pain Amina had never noticed before. Amina. I do too. The words surprised her. Her mother rarely admitted weakness. She was always the strong one, the one who kept moving, kept working, kept surviving. But now, Amina saw it. The exhaustion. The grief hiding behind her strength. Her mother reached for her hand. When your dad died, I tried to be everything for both of us. I thought if I stayed strong, it would protect you. I didn't realize I was pushing you away. Amina's eyes filled with tears. I thought you replaced him too quickly. Her mother looked down. I didn't replace him. I was drowning. Tund didn't fix everything, but he helped me breathe again. Amina had never heard this side of the story. Suddenly, things she misunderstood became clear. Breaking the silence. Her mother squeezed her hand. But Amina, you've been hurting. I can see it now. You've felt alone, even in this house. I didn't know how to tell you, Amina confessed. I kept everything inside. Her mother nodded slowly. That's how pain survives, in silence. Amina took a deep breath. Mom, I want us to be close again. Her mother's face softened into a sad smile. I want that too. For the first time in years, they hugged, really hugged, breaking the walls they didn't even realize they built. And in that embrace, Amina felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Home. A new beginning. Later that night, as Amina walked to her room, she found Tun passing down the hallway. Their eyes met for a brief moment. Did you talk to her? He asked. Amina nodded. Yes. Thank you for encouraging me. He smiled, a simple, respectful smile that held no misunderstanding, no blurred lines. I'm proud of you, he said. Not for what happened, but for how you're facing it. Amina felt a warmth in her chest, the healthy kind. Respect, not confusion. Gratitude, not attachment. She finally understood that sometimes, when life breaks your heart, you cling to the closest thing that feels safe. But safety is not always love. And confusion is not destiny. That night, Amina slept with a lighter heart. She didn't dream of her stepfather. She didn't dream of her father. She dreamed of herself, stronger, clearer, healing. And for the first time, that was enough. Weeks passed, and the house slowly settled into a new kind of peace, the kind that comes when truth has finally been spoken and wounds have stopped bleeding. Amina no longer avoided the living room. She no longer felt confused around Tund. And she no longer felt like a stranger to her own mother. Healing wasn't fast. But it was happening. A new path. One Saturday morning, Amina was sitting outside on the balcony, writing in her journal, something her therapist encouraged her to do. As the early sun warmed her skin, she wrote, I have been searching for love in broken places, forgetting that I was whole before the pain. She closed the journal and smiled softly. She was changing. She could feel it. Her mother joined her outside with 2 cups of tea. You're up early, she said. I'm trying to build new habits, Amina replied, taking a cup. Her mother smiled. I'm proud of you. Amina's chest warmed. Those words used to feel rare. Now they were becoming a bridge. The clearing of shadows. Later that afternoon, Tun knocked softly on her door. Amina? You have a minute? She opened the door. Yes. He held an envelope in his hand. Your mother and I talked. We think you should apply for the writing internship you mentioned. You're talented. And you deserve new beginnings. Amina blinked. You remembered that? Of course, he said. Your dreams matter. There was no tension. No confusion. Just a genuine, fatherly pride in his voice. Finally, Amina realized. This is what healthy support feels like. No crossing boundaries. No emotional entanglement. Just care and respect. She nodded. Thank you? And she meant it, in the right way. The final release. That evening, Amina went to her father's grave for the first time in years. The wind blew softly through the trees, and she knelt down, placing a small white flower on the ground. Daddy, she whispered, I've been lost for a long time. But I'm finding myself again. I hope you're proud of me. A tear slid down her cheek, but this time, it wasn't painful. It was healing. She continued, I'll always miss you. But I won't keep replacing your love with things that hurt me. I'm learning how to stand again. The wind rustled gently, almost like a response. Amina stood up with a steady heart. Becoming herself again. 2 weeks later, her application for the writing internship was accepted. Her mother cried tears of joy. Tun gave her a supportive thumbs up. And Amina packed her bags for a new city, nervous but ready. As the taxi pulled away from the house, she looked out the window, feeling a quiet victory. Not because her life was perfect. Not because all wounds were gone. But because she finally understood the truth. Love cannot grow where boundaries are broken. Healing begins where honesty lives. And the greatest love she was missing was the love she needed to give herself. Amina closed her eyes, whispering to herself. This is my new beginning. and she meant every word.